Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of First Look, Final Word, the podcast where we take you along to see a movie with us. My name's Pete.
And I'm Trevor. What's up, you newly dead New Englanders?
That's nice and specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, this week's Beetlejuice.
Yeah, and I got a synopsis here for us before we take off. Tagline is, "The ghost with the most is back."
Okay.
A bit on the nose. After a family tragedy, 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River. Still daunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life is turned upside down when her teenage daughter, Astrid, accidentally opens the portal to the afterlife.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, seems pretty good. It's pretty standard for a Beetlejuice movie, right?
Yeah, it seems like basically
It's
similar.
like-
Someone died.
Let's get a Beetlejuice movie with Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I was wondering when I saw the trailer. Actually, I was like, "Well, somebody's died. Like, who is not coming back from the first movie?" And it's I guess it would be who was the dad in the first movie.
Oh, yeah, what's his name?
Can't remember who it is at this point, and I watched it not that long ago. Let's look it up. We'll do some live googling.
Yeah, I know what his name is. Like he's in Ferris Bueller's Day Off too, right? As the principal.
Right. Yes.
And he was like, his career was cut short because he went to prison.
See if you can figure it out before I.
No, I'm not going to be able to remember his name.
Can't even find it. Jeffrey Jones. That wasn't it, was it?
No, I don't think so.
It was he. Can't even Google properly.
So maybe as you're still looking that up, are you a big fan of the original Beetlejuice?
Yeah, I actually do quite like it. It's interesting because I watched it. Like I said, I watched it pretty recently. I watched it like last month because I watched it with my kids.
Oh, okay.
And
How did that go?
Well, I thought, oh, it's not too bad. I remember watching it when I was younger, and then like watching it, I was like, well, this is very inappropriate. Like, it is not a movie for kids at all.
Yeah. Well, and like a lot of scary bits, and then
Yeah, and he throws out an F-bomb at one point.
does he really?
Yeah,
Is it a PG movie too?
yeah,
Back when you
I
could-
think it was like PG.
Back when you can have a swear
one.
word, yeah,
Yeah,
one F-bomb in a PG movie.
Yeah, but he's like, he drops an F-bomb. He's like, he hangs out in a brothel for a lot of the movie. he's just an all-around bit of a sex pest jerk. And it's like, wow.
He's not really in the movie all that much.
No.
But I think also not in
Yeah,
this.
it was Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones is his name. Okay.
Yeah. Because I was like, he must be the one who died, because I don't think he's back for this one.
No, yeah, Catherine O'Hara is back, but I don't think that Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis are.
No, I
In this
don't
one?
think they are either, which is interesting because the way I guess, are we doing spoilers for the first Beetlejuice?
Yeah, we're gonna do. Okay, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the first Beetlejuice, like,
Yeah, we're just going to
just gonna
assume
spoil
that
it, I'm sorry.
you've seen it at this point. Yeah, because the way that movie ends, they were still very much around, right?
yeah, they were all hanging around
Yeah,
dancing
dancing, having a great old time, being
to
ghosts.
calypso music, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess they're supposed to have left there, and maybe they just moved on.
I don't know. They seemed pretty invested in staying in that house.
They did a bit, right?
Right. So, I guess it probably just like I assume they might have tried to get Alec Baldwin, Geena Davis back, but
Yeah, maybe. But I
Alec
feel like
Baldwin
it's...
has legal troubles.
Well, and plus, like, you don't want it too stacked, right? I mean, like, how many people do you need in this movie? They're probably just going to be focusing more on, I'm assuming, Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what I'm expecting.
I feel like a lot of people, like when they think back to Beetlejuice, they might not even remember that, Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis are the leads of that movie.
I know, right? Because you don't even really think about it.
And like Michael Keaton is actually in quite a small amount of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, he doesn't show up until quite a bit into it. Yeah, like, he's not the main character really. He's just kind of like he's not the antagonist, really, I suppose.
Yeah, he was just this like crazy demon devil
Yeah,
guy.
like, they were trying to figure out how to be ghosts, and he was kind of like a shyster trying to take advantage of it. Really, basically, is how it goes.
Yeah. So like you're like fairly a fan of the original Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I quite like it. Yeah, it's a classic, right? Like some of the visuals in it are just amazing, and the character is it's just a classic character. Like, everyone knows the Beetlejuice character, although
Yeah.
I assume everyone knows the Beetlejuice character. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Did you watch the cartoon as a kid?
I did actually,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, not as much as some of the other cartoons. Like, it wasn't as big as like the Ghostbusters cartoon or
Yeah,
something like that. But
I wasn't like obsessed with it like I was the Ghostbusters cartoon or Ninja Turtles or something like
right,
that.
right.
But I liked it a lot, and I'm pretty sure I saw the cartoon before I saw the movie.
Yeah, I know it was the intro or something, but I really remember the architecture of the place from the cartoon versus the movie. You know, like that weird balcony they have that has like half a wall sticking out. I don't know why, but that always stuck out in my mind from the cartoon. It must have been part of the opening credits or something.
So we're thinking this is my dream home when I grow up. I'm gonna get a house just like this.
Well, I think it's just because it's just such an odd aesthetic. It's like, what is the point of that wall that's
Yeah.
just sort of stuck there for no reason?
And so are you really looking forward to this one, or
I don't think I wouldn't. It's funny because I didn't really seem that bothered about it. I wasn't like super looking forward to it. But then just today, when I thought about going to see it, I was like, oh, I'm actually interested to see what they do with the story and how it works out. So I don't know. I'm mildly interested, but I don't. I think we've probably talked about this a lot in the past, but it makes me nervous when they bring a movie because like when did Beetlejuice come out? Like in the late 80s
88?
or whatever?
Yeah.
It's like that's a long time ago.
the year I was born?
Oh wow.
Um,
Well, but you're that younger than me. I think you're that.
yeah, I'm a bit younger than you, I
Jeez.
guess.
Wow. Anyway, yeah. So
Um,
I was a bit older than you when it came out.
so when this was first announced, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we're gonna do like a deep dive into Tim Burton in a second, but I wasn't like that optimistic about it.
Yeah.
But then when I saw the first stills coming from the set,
True.
I thought, this actually looks good.
It does look good.
So then I got excited for it. Then I saw the first trailer and I thought it was bad. So then my expectations were low
I don't
again.
remember the trailer. I think I blocked it from my mind, but I remember not being like amazed by it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember thinking it looked like terrible though.
But then, yeah, like reviews coming out, and I haven't seen like a written word about it, just kind of seen like
I haven't seen it either,
what people have been rating it star wise on Letterboxd,
yeah.
but seems to be like, pretty like good.
Oh really?
Like
I was expecting it to be pretty mixed.
Like kind of, well, I guess
I think a lot of Tim Burton stuff is like that.
I guess like,
if you like his thing, then
but I guess
he
it's
just
like
does his thing.
It's like mixed to positive is
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
that I've been seeing so far.
Well, that's good. I'm hoping it's more on the end of like a Beverly Hills Axel Foley sort of good. Let's bring back people back and do a good job of it versus some of the other efforts people have been doing.
Yeah,
because it's hard to. Although people have been doing a good job with like Top Gun Maverick. They'd really like bringing back a movie after decades and can recapture the magic. I think is a very difficult thing to do, but it's not impossible.
True, but I haven't liked the recent Ghostbuster movies. Well, like they're not terrible, yeah, but like
fine. Yeah, exactly.
Just
what I mean. It's
leaning too hard on the nostalgia.
And the Jurassic Park didn't do an awesome job, from my opinion.
I think we've ragged on those Jurassic World movies a lot on this podcast, actually.
Yeah. Well, we'll save that for when the new Jurassic Park movie comes out.
Yeah, it's coming up pretty soon, right?
I think so. I don't know anything about it though.
Is that a big director attached to that one?
I can't remember. I think so.
I feel like it's someone semi.
But I think they're like, are they doing a soft reboot again? Where it's like, I don't think Chris Pratt's coming back. I think they're moving on and just going back to like, let's just have different characters. Make a movie about dinosaurs being scary, which I feel like they haven't been doing for a while. It's like you don't need to make them like they're not kaiju, they're dinosaurs.
Well, why in that franchise they ever decided like we want dinosaurs everywhere in the world? Yeah. Is this such a dumb idea?
Well, then they were like, "Oh, the raptors are like pets." It's like, no, they're definitely not. They're the terrifying bad guys, dinosaurs. It's like, why do you need to make your bad guys into good guys? Stop doing that, please. He's even doing it with raptors. Anyway, we're not talking about Jurassic Park. We're talking about Tim Burton.
So is there a threat to the maybe to bring it back to this movie? Is there a threat that maybe they might soften Beetlejuice's edges a little bit? Because that's sort of what the cartoon did, right?
Yeah.
Like he was kind of like.
Oh, definitely.
He and Lydia were like buddies, basically, in that one,
yeah.
right? He was like a genie.
No, it's like the Ghostbusters, where it's like Slimer's like part of the gang. He's just a cute sidekick.
I don't know, that one really worked for me. So
yeah, I loved it. Yeah, it works for me, but it's nothing to do with the movie, really. It's just it's its own separate thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, what's this one rated? Do you know? Is it PG?
I'm gonna guess PG-13.
Yeah,
I'd have to think because times have changed.
Yeah, because I'd be interested because I feel like when you asked that question, my initial reaction was like, oh, of course they're going to soften the edges. It's 2024. Then it's not going to be doing what he was doing in the first movie. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, you know what though? Like, it would be a lot better if they didn't soften his edges and they just leaned into it and just made him reprehensible. Because otherwise, it's just going to be like, what is he just like a wacky goofball ghost? Just
that's what I'm a little afraid of.
Knockabout comedy, like they might do that.
I like Beetlejuice nice and dirty.
Yeah, and I feel like if they had softened his edges and made him a bit like generic, I feel like it would get hammered by reviews because that's not Beetlejuice. And, unless they really are not focused on it, maybe they do a bit of a bait and switch and just be like, yeah, he's in it a bit, but he's not. It's more about Jenna Ortega. I don't know why I've got it in my head that they're just going to focus a lot on her. It's just going to be
probably that but she's the one who's actually going to put butts in seats now. I guess
she's so hot right now.
I haven't watched the Wednesday show on Netflix.
I was just about to ask you that, and I didn't realize that Tim Burton was even involved in that.
Yeah,
he kind of passed me by that whole thing.
I think he was a producer. I don't know if he directed it.
Yeah, I looked it up. He directed like 4 episodes.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think it was like his baby.
Okay. Well, there you go. I
haven't seen it though.
Again, hinting at things like I don't understand some of the decisions that Tim Burton makes with his career.
Yeah,
but
that's a good
you know
point.
what? That Wednesday show on Netflix is huge, so I guess I shouldn't say anything about it.
Like, well reviewed as well, right? Like I don't know why I avoided it.
Is it well reviewed?
I think so. I am an Addams Family fan.
I've heard a review.
Is it not? Maybe I'm just looking at the wrong reviews.
I've heard a review from I think it was my brother-in-law, and that's about it.
Oh, really?
Did not like it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I should give it a go. Maybe I'll give it a go after this movie because I feel like I've got a feeling that she might be his new muse. Like he likes to pick people and just work with them constantly.
She seems like she's destined to play a teenager forever.
I know,
seems like
right? That's very true.
Is she not like 27 years old now?
That's one of those things, right?
Because I know I first saw her. I guess I saw her in the Scream 5 now.
I honestly don't think I've seen her in anything. If I'm being totally honest, now I'm trying to think about it.
So I saw her in that one without even like. I think that was kind of before she was big.
Yeah, I know. I gave up on that. I'm not seeing any of
And then I saw her in X, like the Ty West, kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque movie.
Yeah, I'm a big so I avoid those.
Yeah. So she was in the 2 Screams. So she's a bit of like a Scream queen already. And then
that's probably why I haven't seen anything. I tend to not really gravitate towards those kind of slasher Scream like horror movies. So like, although Scream is
they're not
good.
I
like Scream. But yeah, I just kind of I was a bit like, I don't really need to see more Scream movies. Like how many are there now? Like 7.
Yeah, they don't. They're not really anything special at this point, but they're still fun and done well enough.
Right, fair enough.
All right, well, maybe we should get to the question of the hour.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Well, so how do you feel about Tim Burton? Like, were you a Tim Burton guy growing up? And
yeah, I was a big Tim Burton fan actually. Like I wasn't like an emo goth kid or anything, but I remember really enjoying his movies, and he was he has a very unique voice, and especially back then, it's like everything was like dark and gothic, and it was just like different from what you were seeing in the mainstream like movies at the time. So yeah, I remember loving all stuff, especially Batman, right? Obviously Batman was probably the big one that got everyone.
Yeah, like he does really have a strange career because he was such like an alternative kind of
Yeah, oh yeah,
dark guy who somehow managed to be like one of the biggest mainstream filmmakers
yeah. I
out
don't know
there
how
while
he managed to do that.
still keeping like a really big edge to his movies for a long time.
I think that, like, now you say that, he maybe makes weird, like, strange decisions, but I think maybe he makes smart decisions because he does a lot of, like, he's done a lot of big studio tentpole movies, but I think he just does that so that he can go away and make the mad stuff that he wants to make, then just come back and go, yeah, sure, I'll come back and do you a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or an Alice in Wonderland or something like, or freaking Planet of the Apes, as long as I can go off and do like the mad stuff I want to do.
See, I think you're right that that's kind of defined like the first part of his career, but I think at a certain point, I think he kind of lost it for what's the one for me and what's the one for them, and and what do I even want to do when I get my one for me's?
Yeah, I think he definitely lost his quality control. It became more questionable as it went on. Like, I don't remember the last Tim Burton movie that's been like a solid hit for me.
Well, I know for me, because I was putting together my favorite Tim Burton
you got the
movies
list?
so I know kind of, and I was looking at his filmography today, and I know exactly where I can say like, okay, here's where I think he fell off a cliff. But it was later than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and I feel like there was some like real big like, oh, that's bad, and then he came back and did some, like, he's done a lot of like fine movies too, where it's like, yeah, that's definitely a decent Tim Burton movie, but it's nothing that I'm gonna be like raving about.
Yeah. So like let me see if I can remember, because I was looking at it today and I thought, like, if you look at his first 8 movies,
should I just pull up?
Oh yeah, maybe pull up the filmography and see if I'm getting in the order right. Like, looking at his first 8 movies, like, people can kind of argue here or there about like the quality, but I think there's like an incredible set of 8 movies in a row.
All right, let's rattle them off right now here.
So starts with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I think is a really, really strong.
That one passed me by. I feel like that's a very North American thing.
Oh yeah,
because that did not.
You weren't into Pee-wee Herman?
Pee-wee Herman did not travel across the pond. I'm here to tell you. I never even seen it. And then I watched it like this year with my kids, and I actually like quite enjoyed it.
Well, just like it's just so visually creative, and like that's really what Burton brings, is that, you know, even for a low budget movie like that, it just really pops. Like no one was really making a movie like that, and to think like he got so Pee-wee's Big Adventure, then Beetlejuice, then,
which is crazy for a second movie.
For a second movie to be like that high of quality.
That's a big swing as well, man. Like,
and so yeah, Beetlejuice is my number 5. I was doing a 5 ranking.
Oh, look at you!
And then after Beetlejuice, you know, some crazy person at Warner Brothers says, "This is the guy I want to direct Batman," which is like the most bonkers decision anyone has ever made.
It is pretty crazy. I mean, it kind of works because Batman is like super dark and gothic and whatnot, but it's a huge swing to give a director like that Batman.
So, but yeah, like Batman was traditionally dark and gothic, like in the 30s when it started, but like by the 60s and onwards, like Batman was campy because of the Adam West show.
True. And like, let's not forget, like, I don't think, I mean, I know the TV show was popular, but I don't, like, Batman wasn't like a surefire hit or anything. It wasn't like, oh, this is going to be a nailed on hit for the studio, we need to get a big name director in to do it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, because like the only superhero movies was really the Superman movies, and those had kind of already started to fall out of favor.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So let me see. After,
I've got the list. I gotta see if you can hit them all.
After Batman, is it Batman Returns?
No, he did one in between that, and this is probably one of my favorites, actually.
Okay.
It's Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands, yeah.
I remember, because what year did that come out? So that was 1990. So I would have been 6 years old when that came out. But I remember loving that movie when I was a kid.
It's great.
Looking back, I'm like, I don't know why I loved that when I was a kid, because it's like,
it's pretty dark,
it's pretty weird. It's very weird, and like there's a lot of like, I think it's just because there's a lot of like subtext in it, and like it's subtle in a lot of ways. Whereas you're a kid, just like he's got nice fingers. That's cool. He does topiary. But no,
he accidentally stabs people sometimes.
He nicks his own face sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Batman Returns for that. So that's my number 3. I think Batman's my number 4.
Are we counting movies that he didn't direct?
No, not counting Nightmare Before
Because
Christmas.
that would have been the next one. I was just after Batman Returns.
And I think he did originate the concept and some of the main artwork.
He wrote the story
for that. Well, I think he was more like a story by.
Right. Yeah.
And from what I've heard, he wasn't really on set at all.
You just had the idea. And was like, you guys take over.
Yeah. Now, you can't credit him with the idea, and I think he did some of the original artwork and stuff. So obviously, still a big creative.
A lot of the aesthetics is definitely, you can see his influence for sure.
Yeah. And then after that is Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Right, which is my favorite.
Well, this is my big admission is that I've never seen Ed Wood.
Ed Wood, I feel like is pretty underseen compared to his other stuff from this era.
But all I hear about it is that it's really, really good. I think it's probably might be his best reviewed movie of all time.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it's a big favorite of mine.
I don't know why I've never gone back and watched.
Do you know what the plot of it is?
I don't know. I don't even
have
a clue.
Ed Wood is like a hack director from the 50s.
Oh, right, okay.
Who made Plan 9 from Outer Space, which a lot of people consider to be the worst movie ever made. And he got a little bit of cachet. Well, not even cachet. He was able to sell some of his movies, even though they're so terrible, because he had a personal relationship with Bela Lugosi, who was in his autumn years. And the movie's just about people who love movies but aren't good at making movies, trying to make movies. And
that sounds right up my alley. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah,
if I've not seen it.
This would completely be right up your alley.
Yeah. I'll add it on the list.
And it's just I think that's probably my favorite Johnny Depp performance as well.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And there's Edward Scissorhands is really high up there too.
Yeah, that was a really great performance in that. That's, like I say, a lot of subtlety in that movie and that performance.
Okay, so after
Edward, we'll get into.
Is it Mars Attacks?
It is.
Okay,
it is Mars Attacks.
So that's
which I'm interested to hear your opinion on what you think of Mars Attacks.
Well, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. As a kid, I thought it was hilarious and I loved it.
Yeah. I see. I'm the same. I kind of love Mars Attacks. I think it's just wacky, right? It's it's just pulpy and schlocky, and it's just little aliens running around going rah, rah, rah. I know a lot of people have quite a distaste for it.
So I think that one for a lot of people is the movie where they're like, well, maybe this is evidence that this guy
he's selling out.
maybe selling out. Maybe that's a bit too mainstream or something. Or
jumped the shark with his alien movie.
Maybe some of his creative instincts aren't quite there.
Yeah. It's not. You can definitely see his influence, but you wouldn't necessarily right away be like, "This is definitely a Tim Burton movie."
All right, and then his next,
which all of his previous movies, you can definitely say that is a Tim Burton movie. You can see it from a million miles away.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the sense of humor in that one is pretty broad, from what I remember. I think the aliens' heads blow up because an old lady plays boring music or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty stupid, but it's fun.
No, did steal that concept for A Quiet Place.
Well, and that's basically the
similar thing happens in that, right? In the plane of sound that kills the aliens.
Yeah, that was dumb. But I think that's basically a riff off of War of the Worlds, where the how do you kill the aliens is just the germs that are around.
Yeah. So what's after Mars Attacks?
Give me the year.
99. So just before Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I know Planet of the Apes 2001.
Yeah. Which we'll get into.
And this would be the 8th one, right? So I was counting in my list of really good stuff.
And this is one I really like, actually. This might be in my top 5.
All right, give it to me. I'm spacing right now.
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, yeah. That's another really solid one.
I really enjoy that.
And
that's another really good Johnny Depp performance.
His partnership with Depp here is just really cooking with gas.
Yeah.
They are really complimenting each other.
Was he Johnny Depp didn't have a. Was he in Mars Attacks at all? Because I feel like everyone was in Mars Attacks.
You know, it's been so long, I can't
I
really.
don't remember him being in it, but like thinking about it, it'd be odd that he wouldn't be in it because. Well, I mean, I guess he wasn't in any of the Batman movies either, but
Yeah, because he sort of like picks him up from Edward Scissorhands
yeah,
on.
and then comes back for Ed Wood.
Yeah. And then yeah, so by the time we get to Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
now I said this on our episode
Yeah, we
on
did a Planet of the Apes episode, right? For what was it? What was the name of that one again?
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Kingdom.
So check out that episode. Probably our best episode, I'd say. Definitely
yeah.
check that one out, guys.
You like apes?
I'm a huge Apes fan.
Apes.
I was a huge Apes fan going into this movie,
Yes,
and I like this movie at the time.
If you want to hear about how much Trevor likes the Apes movies, give that episode a listen because he's a legit Apes fanatic.
I love those apes. Those crazy monkeys make me smile.
Chimpanzee to chimpanzee. So you like that then when you saw it?
I'd say I liked it at the time. I was a stupid kid,
and
I have not revisited it, and it has aged really poorly in my mind.
So, question for you then: when you saw that Planet of the Apes, were you already a huge Apes fan?
Yeah,
at that point?
I was already a big Apes fan.
Because I remember like thinking it was fine. I remember quite enjoying it and like whatever. But I was not a huge Planet of the Apes fan at that point. I don't think I'd even seen the first one at that point. Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh, this is a travesty.
But you know, like when you're a kid and you're really into a franchise, you just want more entries into that franchise. Like
it wasn't like, I mean, I know it gets a huge kick in, but I mean, it wasn't that brutal. I mean, looking back,
I actually really want to revisit it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think I've seen it for decades, so I can't imagine it's as bad as what his reputation says. But I know people hate on the ending to that movie as well. But I'm like, well, what else are you wanting? Like, it's just a classic sci-fi ending.
Remind me, what is the ending to that one?
The ending is like he gets back in the spaceship and tries to get back to modern times, and he like crashes into like Washington DC and hits like the Washington Monument, and then he gets out of his pod and he sees like the Lincoln Memorial, but it's an ape Lincoln.
Okay.
Which I've just realized it's probably a pun, right? Ape Lincoln.
Oh yeah, maybe, I don't know. But, yeah, that is kind of stupid.
So like he gets back to modern times, but
so they just build it back the exact same.
But no, because he's supposed to go back in time to his own time, but when he goes back in time to his own time, they're all apes. So it didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it didn't really make a lot of sense of what was going on. But I mean, it's just like, oh, something weird's happened, and now everyone's apes. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, I didn't think. But yeah, it wasn't as good as seeing the Statue of Liberty, I suppose.
Yeah, spoilers for the 1968 movie.
Yeah,
the apes.
It was there for all along.
And so yeah, for that one, for a lot of people, is a sign that this guy can miss pretty big.
And like that wasn't a very, from my memory at least, it wasn't a very Tim Burton-y kind of movie.
No, that's just like a regular blockbuster.
Yeah,
right?
It was just like anybody could have made that movie.
Even like both the Batman movies, which I love, have a real edge to them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And is the next movie after that Big Fish?
Yes, Big Fish.
That's the one where I say that's his last like
good
Stone Cold masterpiece. I love that movie.
I love Big Fish too. I remember watching that and just being blown away by it.
Yeah, like it's just like mastercraft storytelling, and it's like Tim Burton with a heart.
Yeah,
too,
exactly. Yeah,
which is a chord that he can play as well. Like it's not always just like completely dark edged. That movie gets me really choked up. It's really good.
Yeah, I remember just like being really being affected by that movie.
Yeah, and from this point on, like there's still some good stuff, but it's some hit and miss. Like I know 2007 Sweeney Todd, which is pretty solid.
I quite like that. Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably the most recent one that I've enjoyed.
But like I think in between Big Fish and that, there's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
which honestly I have refused to watch. And when I was taking a quick look today, it's actually reviewed pretty well.
Really? That surprises me a lot.
Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's like one of his highest rated movies.
Seriously?
But what I'm assuming is that like maybe there was a whole generation that like that's their Willy Wonka, right?
Because from what I remember of it, and I've just seen it the one time, probably about a year after it came out, is that it's just like, what if Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but it's Michael Jackson and it's Neverland Ranch? for a whole movie.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I gathered. And honestly, the reason why I refused to watch it is because I love the Gene Wilder.
Yeah, it's the best.
And I love that movie so much. I watched it so many times when I was a kid, and I still love it to this day. And I was so happy when they tied Wonka, last year's Wonka, or was that this year or last year?
It was last December, I think.
Yeah, it was right on the cusp. When they
Yeah,
tied,
you love that movie.
I love Wonka, and I love that they tied it to the Gene Wilder one in like many ways. So yeah, I don't need this Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I've got Wonka and Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory.
Have your kids seen it?
Yeah, they've seen both. Yeah, they love both.
Like, have they seen the Johnny Depp one? I mean,
Oh, the Johnny Depp. I think they have, because my son, we watched. I put the Gene Wilder one for him. I was like, this is the best movie ever. And then my son went on a bit of a I love Willy Wonka binge for him. Like, he dressed up as him and stuff and was giving out chocolate to people. And I'm pretty sure they watched it, and he might have watched it at school actually at one point as well. And they was just like, yeah, it's fine. It's just Willy Wonka. But I mean, they just think everything's fine.
Well, so how my daughter ended up watching Tim Burton's Dumbo.
Oh yeah,
was that she loves the cartoon Dumbo. I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. Yeah. And like after, on Disney Plus, after you watch any of like the classic animated movie, it's like, hey, do you want to watch this live action piece of garbage? Yeah. Also? And then she's like, yeah, we got to watch this. And so we watched it, and there is still some creative juice there, but it's a bad movie.
It's a weird one to do a live action version of, because it was a very thin story to begin with. Like the movie, well, they had to stretch it out to even make it a feature.
Yeah, like the plot of like the original movie Dumbo happens in this one in like 20 minutes.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And then they have
pull the taffy on that bit.
Michael Keaton plays a good villain in that one. Like he is one of cinema's great villains.
He is.
But no, I don't really think that's a good movie. And yeah, maybe we can rattle off some of his other ones here.
Skipped ahead a bit, that one, because that was his last movie.
Yeah.
Before this one. So yeah, we missed out Corpse Bride. That fell in between Charlie Chocolate Factory and Sweeney Todd. Same year as Charlie Chocolate Factory, actually.
And that one's okay. It's really just him trying to just recapture Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, because like Nightmare Before Christmas blew up and was like so popular. I think they were like, do more of that. It's like Frankenweenie's was a bit the same as that.
Yeah, you know what? Frankenweenie is a blind spot for me.
Yeah, I watched it recently because I thought my kid would like it, and it's fine, but like my kid got bored of it. I mean, it's a good concept. It's just a kid who rebuilt his dead dog like a Frankenstein.
And like he made that as a short film in the 80s, I think, right? And so he's kind of remaking his own thing.
He made it 2012, I guess it was. But yeah, it was fine, but like it's not like it was anything amazing.
And then what else we got here?
And then after that was Big Eyes, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's just okay.
Yeah. And then I guess we skipped over Alice in Wonderland. I missed a few here actually. Before Frankenweenie, after Sweeney Todd, there's the Alice in Wonderland and then Dark Shadows, which I think are the two worst.
That is the darkest period of his career.
Yeah.
He's had to course correct. Except that those are two bad movies.
Yeah, I've refused to watch Dark Shadows because I was just like, I think by that point after Alice in Wonderland, I was like, you know what? I think I need a breather from Tim Burton.
And I think that's my least favorite Johnny Depp performance.
Yeah, and I think that was the point where they were like, I think this
partnership is done.
You might have got like squeezed all the juice out of this now, guys. Maybe give it up. After like Charlie Chocolate Factory, then that it's like, nah, give it up. And then Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I don't think I saw that one.
I've heard okay things about it. I haven't seen it myself.
And that was 2016 and Dumbo 2019, so he hasn't done anything for a while. Now we're
he's directing episodes of Wednesday.
Yeah, I guess so, right? What else has he been up to? I don't know. Don't think he does much TV.
And so he's only 66 years old. I was looking up today, so he's still like fairly young-ish.
I feel like he must have been young when he.
Yeah, he was pretty young for getting a movie of that size. He's just been around forever.
Yeah, true. He's one of those guys you feel like he must be a million years old because he's been making movies for 50 years. Almost. No, but yeah, I mean, that's a decent list though. Like going through it, it's pretty high hit rate.
Yeah.
Really, for a career.
for a career, but the back half is pretty hit and miss.
The back half is hit and miss.
For like a front half of the career, which is, really one of the best. Like it's really, really strong. Some big whiffs on there that, make you question his creative choices.
Yeah, and also he's never gone back to the well, right? He's never done a sequel.
Aside from Batman, right?
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, I should say. Well, like one of his movies though is never really like truly his idea.
Yeah. So
I'm interested to see what happens with Beetlejuice, and also if they set up a Beetlejuice at the end of it, which would make logic sense, right? There's no reason to make a Beetlejuice unless you're planning on doing another one.
Yeah.
All right, we made it.
Yeah, we've arrived at the theater. If you are new to the podcast, Pete and I are going to go inside, watch the movie, then come back, give you guys a spoiler-free review, about 5 minutes, tell you what a good time to go to the bathroom is.
Pee report time.
And then give you plenty of warning before we head into spoiler talk.
Yes. Yeah, so don't go anywhere, guys. You don't have to run away. Like Trevor said, there'll be spoiler-free talk when we get back here. So stick around and hear our opinion on the new Tim Burton movie.
All right, wish us luck.
All right, see you guys. Welcome back, everyone. We just come out of the VIP showing of Beetlejuice, which was quite nice. I had myself a tall can. But yeah, guess we can get right into first impressions.
Yeah.
So did it meet your expectations, Trevor?
I would say that it actually beat my expectations.
Yeah, I don't think we really got into your expectations. I know we talked about mine, but I don't know if we got into
I was talking about how I was at a bit of a roller coaster because I thought the stills looked good, but the trailer was bad. And then the partial reviews I've seen online before that had me a little excited, but I was expecting it to be maybe just okay, but I quite thoroughly enjoyed it all the way through. I think, there are some parts of the plot that I didn't really love, but honestly, I felt the movie was humming the whole time. It had the juice, had the Beetlejuice.
The juice was loose the whole time, as they say.
So I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, I thought it was a lot better than I expected. Actually, I agree with you. I thought a lot funnier than I was expecting. Actually, as well. There was a lot of laughter in the theater, which I don't know if. And again, it was always comedic, but I don't remember much big belly laughs from the first one. But there was definitely some funny spots in this one. I mean, Keaton was great in it. That was my big worry, that it was just going to be a bit meh. But no, I think they definitely went for it. Didn't like you're saying, there was a few things that didn't quite work for me, and we can get into it in the spoiler bit. But no, overall, I agree. I thought it clipped along real well. It kept ahead of steam and just kind of knew what it was and just went for it.
Well, and there's so much going on.
There's so much
in this movie that it's actually a bit of a miracle that it works so well.
Yeah, that's very true. Because it could have easily gone off the rails.
There's a lot of intersecting plot lines and stuff, and some plot lines don't really get as much attention as they really deserve. But at the end, I wasn't all too bothered by it because like I said, the movie kind of just works.
Yeah, and I think that's because I think the movie was like that as well, right? It's it's not taking itself super seriously. I think it's sort of it knows it's basically just wacky. Don't worry too much about the plot. It's just going to be Beetlejuice doing wacky stuff, and a bunch of crazy stuff happens, and just go along for the ride.
Yeah. No, and to your point, I thought Keaton especially was incredible.
He was really good, so good. Because I was a bit worried, is he going to be able to go back and do the Beetlejuice shtick that he did like 40 years ago?
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, I think Beetlejuice works better with a 70-year-old man playing him.
You know what? That's not a bad. I can't argue with that, because that was the other thing. I think when these actors go back to characters they played when they were 30, 40 years younger, it's there's something that's just quite it's not the same. like Indiana. You don't want to see Indiana Jones being old, stuff like that, right? But no, I
It
agree.
works for
I agree. It
Beetlejuice
really
because
worked
like
with Beetlejuice because just an old lech, right?
he's 600 years old. He's decaying.
Yeah. Plus, he's always kind of just like, like the your old Uncle Pervert.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Right?
totally.
He just plays that so well. Being a bit older kind of makes that work a bit better.
Yeah, no, I really loved his performance. I think the second standout for me is Catherine O'Hara because
Oh yeah,
she was
so good in this.
she was really great, kind of riding high off of Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, because when I went back and watched the first one, like she was great in it, but she didn't really. She was just kind of a bit like playing a one note character really, which kind of is in this a bit as well. Obviously, it's the same character, but I think like she had so much more to do in this, and like I think to your point, like coming off of Schitt's Creek, it just like they definitely put a lot of more focus on her, and she's always amazing.
Yeah, and so I'll stick to the positives for acting for a while. Like I thought Justin Theroux's character was really
good.
great too.
Yeah.
Plays kind of like this new age. I won't say like how he relates to the other characters, but this new age hippy dippy kind of guy.
Yeah, so well. It's such some really funny stuff it came from it for sure. That character.
And then I liked Jenna Ortega too. Like I thought they were just gonna basically make her a bit of a Winona Ryder clone.
Yeah, they didn't really do that though, did they?
Yeah, she was mostly like just trying to play like a normal teenager.
Yeah, she was like the straight man of the movie.
She was sort of. Yeah.
I wasn't super expecting that, but
by being completely honest, I was like a bit disappointed in Lydia's character.
Yeah,
and what they did with her character, because that's such a cool teen character, and then
they kind of just made a neurotic mess.
Yeah, like guess the movie's sort of just saying like everyone grows up to suck eventually.
Yeah,
that's sort of one of the themes. The other main themes would be like don't trust men ever because they're all terrible and they're all trying to trick you.
Yeah, all the male characters in this movie do not come off well.
Yeah. And like I don't know if I love Winona Ryder's performance in this.
Yeah,
but like, I don't know if it's her or it's the character on the page.
I was getting a lot of her character from Stranger Things, and
a little bit.
I don't know if that's just because that's the main thing I've seen her in, but like it seemed like her mannerisms and stuff seem more geared towards that than like the Lydia from the first Beetlejuice movie.
Well, yeah, because that's basically what she's been doing lately. I love her in the first season of Stranger Things, but then I think her performance and character kind of fall off in the later seasons. So she's actually kind of the weak point of the movie for me, for the main characters, anyways.
Yeah, and she kind of was the main character, really, when you think about it. Like, mostly follows her what she's doing. Her and Jenna Ortega, like we kind of assumed going in, but I focused a lot more on her than I thought it would actually.
Yeah, I guess she would be the main character. Yeah, I noticed Jenna Ortega got the width during the title sequences.
That too. Yeah. That's surprising.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say that we forgot to mention when we were doing like our recap of Burton's career is the Danny Elfman score. This was really fantastic.
It was really good actually.
And that's such a core part of, he's like such a big partner of Burton and kind of crafting that, that dark but whimsical style.
Yeah. Like even like the opening with like him, like the classic Danny Elfman style score and the sort of like drone shot of over like, is it a model, is it not, and even just like the opening title credit sequences, I thought it was just all captured it so well. It was just like you could tell like they knew what they were doing, and they were kind of just like right from the start. I was kind of thinking, okay, like I think they've got this figured out.
Yeah,
and they kind of proved to be the point.
We were talking a bit on the way here that Tim Burton was this amazing director kind of early on in his career. Then later half his career is a bit spotty. Does this make you feel a little bit better about him as a director?
It's hard to say really, because while I did really enjoy it, there was a lot of. I'm going back to the well here. Like there's a
Certainly, yeah.
like you always get with these legacy sequels as well. There's a lot of callback to the first movie. So maybe sometimes to its detriment, you might say, which is typically the case when they do that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, hey, you remember all that stuff you love from Beetlejuice? Here's more of it
Yeah.
with some extra stuff. So when stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, well done and fair play, but like maybe do something new. then I'll be happy.
Yeah. So yeah, would you say this would sort of be like a creative comeback for him, but then
Could be like a bit of a creative reset, maybe.
Yeah.
Like get back to what you used to do that you were great at, that everyone loved and that you loved, and maybe like channel that a bit more.
Yeah, like, and I'm someone who has checked out of Burton for quite a while now.
Yeah, me too, to be honest.
This has me like a little interested in what he might be doing next.
Yeah.
Because as I was saying earlier, like there's really like a lot going on. Like the script is a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But honestly, like it's directed really well.
Yeah,
and the only reason it works is because like it's kind of it's directed well.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah, like Tim, maybe just come up with a new project. I'm interested.
There you go. You brought Trevor back. You did it.
Well, I'm back on the line. Okay, so
he's drinking the Kool-Aid.
I'm willing to be seduced.
No, I agree with that. I'd be interested to see what he does next, because this was definitely, I don't know, can we say it's a return to form? I think it's probably.
I'd definitely say it's a return to form.
I wouldn't argue with that at all, seeing as though I just said it.
Well, there's a musical sequence in this movie, just like there's a musical sequence in the first Beetlejuice, which is incredibly well done.
Yeah,
I feel like I'll be watching that on YouTube a lot on repeat.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
And I thought, like, he's showing some skills that, and maybe I should say, showing some tricks that I haven't seen him do before. So maybe there's still something left in the tank there.
Well, and he took some swings. Like, there's definitely some swings in this movie. Like, they're not holding back. He's not holding back on doing whatever crazy shit he could think of doing. So
yeah,
that's what you want to see, right? Even when it doesn't 100% work all the time, like, you got to appreciate the swings.
Yeah, and you said, why would you have a movie called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice unless you have one that's called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice Beetlejuice? Would you be hoping for that?
I mean, I don't know about hoping. I'm not sure what else you could really do, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, there's definitely, like, it's a character you could definitely mine more content out of. Like, you could make a whole freaking series of Beetlejuice movies if you really wanted to. But I would be surprised though if they did another one. Like, I feel like Keaton wouldn't want to come back for a third one.
And Keaton seems like he's in a weird spot in his career now, where he's like going back to the well of old characters, right? Because he's done Batman and Beetlejuice now, right? So he just has to do Mr. Mom.
Right.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we get into spoilers?
No, I don't think so. Is there anything we've not mentioned? We didn't really touch on Monica Bellucci.
That's right. Yeah. Well, don't want to spoil what her character was.
No.
I thought she would she always has like a good physical commanding presence. I kind of wish her role was bigger.
Yeah, she kind of didn't really have much to do, right? Like, we can get into it a bit more in the spoilers, but yeah, I thought that was one of the parts that I thought was maybe the weakest in the movie is that character, her character, and what she had to do basically in the movie, which is not a lot.
All right, so before we drop off, let us know what your favorite Tim Burton movie is.
You did. What about P Report? Did we do a P Report?
P Report, that's right. Okay,
we both powered through this one. It went that long at a clip, though, right? Like, it didn't seem like how. What was the runtime? Because it didn't
spell an hour 34 minutes or something.
It was like perfect. Just kept going along at a clip, and then it was done.
So, 44-minute mark. Winona Ryder is doing like a weird vocal exercise. I think that's a perfect time to go. She just tells Catherine O'Hara's character information we already have. I think that's a perfectly fine time to go to the bathroom. But yeah, it's a pretty short one. So
yeah.
Chugging along at like 94 minutes long. Perfect time.
I appreciate that.
That's probably about close to the runtime of the first one, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Except this one has like 5 times the plot of the
God,
first one.
It really does.
Yeah, so drop us a line at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. Love to hear from you guys. Next week, Pete and I will be going to the Toronto International Film Festival.
First look, final words, heading to TIFF.
Yeah. We are going to go see David Cronenberg's new movie, The Shrouds.
Yes. Excited for that one, yeah. Look out for that one, guys.
And it's your first time at TIFF, right?
My first time, yeah. Have you been before?
I've been twice before.
I'll check you out.
Yeah, they're going to recognize me there.
Yeah. Like, oh, here's your seat, Mr. Trevor, sir.
Mr. Trevor, thanks for not saying my last name.
Yeah, I was out with you. Don't talk, Trevor.
Okay, so...
It's not even his real name.
Yeah, Trevor's actually my last name.
Okay. Mr. Trevor.
All right, so we're going to head into spoilers now. If that sort of thing bothers you, drop off.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So 3, 2, 1.
Okay, you've been warned, guys. This is it. This is the break point.
All right, so what do you want to get into?
Where you want to start? Danny DeVito?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I was not expecting him to crop up.
He's basically playing Frank Reynolds.
Yeah, exactly.
In this movie.
I was like, it was such a... And we can get into it, but like... Stuff like that, I think, was a bit where it was like, I don't know if that's necessary. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Danny DeVito. It was fun to see him there, but I was like, why are we, like, because it's Danny DeVito, and we're spending time with his character now, and it's basically to introduce another character that we can get into that's, I also feel like was maybe unnecessary. So, when we talk about how much plot there is in this movie, I think some of it, I'm like, maybe we could have had a rethink about that.
Well, like, first off, I love Danny DeVito's character design in this one.
Right.
But you could definitely lift that entire thing out of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like, it was great to have and to see him, but at the same time, like, oh, it's Danny DeVito. And then that just kind of takes you out of it a bit.
Yeah. Well, Tim Burton's definitely a guy who, he likes working with actors that he worked with before. And he probably just called him and said, hey, like, this would normally just be like some random side character who's on screen for 5 seconds. What if we brought you onto here? And
right.
Danny DeVito seems down to do anything.
But then, like, I was like, well, who else is going to show up now? Is this just going to be like a cameo fest of all his friends? which it wasn't really, wasn't at all. No, but
there's Bob. But yeah, like, so I think I like the idea of the Monica Bellucci plot line in theory.
It seemed like that was a different movie entirely, though.
And it's certainly like it took a back seat.
Yeah, it's like that. Like in another world, that would have been the main crux of the movie.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This conflict between him and this ex-wife that they set up. They show you that quite hilarious flashback sequence.
Like what an incredibly creative way to just do a bunch of exposition.
It was amazing. Like, was it like Spanish or something? Like, it was insane.
Yeah, I think that was like, I think it was Spanish. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But it was just like, it was hilarious. But then it was just like, oh yeah, we've set up this like huge antagonist that's going to be like the foil going after Beetlejuice whole movie. And like you said, it's just like, no, we're actually going to worry about that at all, really. And then she'll show up at the end for a brief second and get eaten by a worm.
Yeah, so basically there are, I would say, 4 antagonists to this movie.
Right.
So it's Monica Bellucci, Ghost Boyfriend,
right?
Beetlejuice himself, and Rory, who's like the fiance. Right?
There's way too much. That's what I mean. It's almost like they had 3 or 4 different scripts, and they were like, we don't know which one of these to pick, and none of them are really well fleshed out enough for a whole movie. It's like, you know what, let's just smash them all together and we'll make one movie. And it's crazy that it's only like 90 minutes because, like you say, it's like 4 different plots from 4 different movies all happen at the same time.
Yeah. And I guess, like, the main arc between all those is the relationship between Lydia and, sorry, what is Jenna Ortega's character's name again?
Oh,
Astrid,
yeah.
And I think that plot line mostly works through the whole thing, and that's kind of how he's able to thread such a messy garment of this movie. But like each of those elements, I agree, is kind of like its own movie, and I think they each sort of work even though they don't really get enough space to
No,
breathe.
yeah, they do all work. It's just kind of it's a bit jarring. Like even like you said, Ghost Boyfriend, whatever that guy's name was. It's like they introduce him, and it's like the most telegraphed twist in history. You even leaned over and was like, "He's a ghost, right?" Right.
Yeah.
As soon as she meets him,
Well,
like, yes, he's obviously
I
the
was already
ghost.
sort of thinking it, but then the second they didn't show the mom's face, I'm like,
Yes.
well, obviously everyone in this house is
Yep.
dead.
And then they're like, "Hey, a lot of your stuff is from the '90s. All your references are from the '90s. Are you from the '90s?"
Yeah.
It's like, all right, come on, like, you don't have to
I'm
make it
like,
so obvious.
it's not believable that they wouldn't have exchanged cell phone numbers and they weren't texting each other.
There is a bit of that as well, right? Yeah, well, I also thought it wasn't believable that she'd just be rocking up to this kid's house.
Yeah. Well, really, like a cleaner version of this movie. Like you could still keep the fiance thing, and
Yeah.
and he's just like secretly trying to screw her over.
Yeah.
You can still keep Ghost Boyfriend, and then
Yeah.
you can have like she has to make a deal with Beetlejuice to save him from the afterlife. You know,
Yep.
why
That could have been the whole movie, right?
that could have been it. So that's 3 of the 4, and I think that actually works quite well.
Yeah.
I don't know why you need like an antagonist that supersedes Beetlejuice and is trying to hunt him down.
Yeah.
Because she like they were in the room with each other at the end for 10 seconds before she gets eaten by a sandworm. Like
Right.
it's just
It's not like
completely
they,
irrelevant.
it's not like they had any scenes together or anything,
No.
apart from in the flashback. Honestly, I feel like he just really wanted to do the scene where she staples her body parts back together.
It was great scene.
It was a great scene. I feel like he just like, oh, this would be great. Like we need this in the movie. And it's like, but it doesn't work for the rest of the movie. It's like, whatever.
Like it really doesn't work. Like, and he's not like he's not like scared and running away the whole movie either.
No, it's like barely even acknowledges that she's there. She's just running around killing a few people.
Yeah, but then we also do get Willem Dafoe as like the undead cop.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about Willem Dafoe
because that's sort of connected to that plot line, which I loved his character. I love that, but it was so stupid.
But it also seems so tacked on. It's like there's no reason for that character to be there. There's no reason why there would be an actor like being the police chief of the underworld. It's just like it didn't make much sense at all. But it was so funny. Like,
and I loved them smashing into the church during the dance number. I thought was really great.
It was amazing.
But yeah, and like the ghost boyfriend thing, I think was working really well. We should talk about the Soul Train for a second because that was so funny.
That was so funny, but I feel like this was the case with a few things. I felt like they pushed it a bit too far. It was like they're trying to wring all the juice out of this joke. Like,
they shouldn't have gone back there.
That Soul Train thing, yeah. It was like then they went back and it was like extended sequence of like, okay, we get the gag. It's a Soul Train. Like you don't need to keep going with this.
Yeah. And then the ghost boyfriend plot just sort of ends pretty abruptly because they just dumped him into hell. I'm like, oh, okay.
That was a great line though. Was that the one F-bomb that they did?
Yeah, what did he say? He said you're fucked? Or?
No, he said like the great Trotsky once said or something.
Oh, right? As Dostoevsky once said, you're fucked.
That's it. You're fucked.
That's right.
Interesting though, then they bleeped out an F-bomb like later on.
You gotta keep it PG,
right? It's funny though, they're just like, I'm just gonna keep it in and we'll just bleep it out. Yeah, no. There was the one thing, one of the things I was worried about from the trailer even was the shrunken head gang.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the shrunken head thing was something that people loved from the first movie, but it was literally in like right at the end, just one little sight gag because he was sat next to him. It's like, oh, a shrunken head guy. So I was a bit like, that wasn't an important part of the first movie, and it's not like something that was really talked about, but like because they know people like it, they're just going to crowbar all these shrunken head guys into it, and it's just going to be stupid. But I actually kind of liked it.
Yeah, no,
like when they escaped into the real world and they're just running around with their shrunken heads. It's just like, visually was just hilarious. They were like trying to break into the convenience store and like eating chips and stuff. And poor old Bob.
I thought it worked pretty well. Yeah, and Bob's death was sort of just pretty random.
Yeah, that's what I like. Everyone she killed, it was just kind of like, she just rocks up, kills someone, moves on. Like why did you kill the guy in the freaking what do you call it, dry cleaners.
I guess she wanted a dress. She didn't want to pay for
That's
it.
what, like, there was a whole thing where, like, oh, here's a dry cleaner. Oh, and just so we can set up him being killed because she wants to get a dress and then make it black so she can wear a dress. It's like, why do we need any of this information? This doesn't make any sense. The black dress is not important, or it makes it. We don't need to know about it.
No, I completely agree. I really do like Monica Bellucci.
I do as
think
well.
she looked great in this movie.
That's what I mean. I was kind of like, I wish that they just said, you know what, let's just focus more on that and make it. I felt like there was probably a lot cut out of that storyline.
That's a good point. Yeah,
like I feel like in the script there was probably a lot more going on for her, because why would she even sign up for it if she had like
there's definitely
a handful of lines and like 3 scenes in the movie.
There's definitely a past version of the script where that's kind of the main driving force of the movie.
Yeah, and it's like, no, we need more Jenna Ortega. Give her a love interest.
Yeah. Which, like, I do prefer the ghost boyfriend plotline though, because like I do think there's something that's lost in the movie by making Beetlejuice not the principal antagonist.
Right. Well, it's like that's kind of what one of my worries before was going in.
That was my worry too.
It's like, take the edge off, make him relatable, and like, oh no, now we've got to root for him because someone's gonna try and get him. It's like, no, this guy is like the worst.
Yeah.
Should be the worst.
For like the original movie, and I guess this movie too, is very focused on like the rules of the afterlife.
Yes, very much so.
The first movie seemed a lot more like logically sound. In this movie, the rules in this one seemed pretty random.
Well, this one seemed more like a cartoon. It was like Looney Tunes almost, with with like all the crazy shit going on.
It's like, let's just do like the Wile E. Coyote thing and just blow a hole.
Yeah, it's like, I'll just blow a hole in the wall and
we'll be able to get in.
Yeah, stuff like that.
At least they were able to say like, oh, we've detected she's in here illegally.
Right.
But then like, they just like stamp the guy's passport and that undoes the other stuff. It seems a little easy.
Yeah.
And then there was a thing where Jenna Ortega said, I know that your ghost medium thing is bullshit because you've never seen Dad before.
Right.
And I thought the whole time that the dad wasn't actually going to be dead. That's why
so I couldn't see him. Like he was just like stranded on an island or something.
But then he's got the piranhas just biting into him.
That side gag was brilliant. I love that they just kept it going, like on all the like nice scene of the family, and they just like got the fucking piranhas wiggling on him.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
But then he just says to them, he's like, I know you can't see me.
Yeah.
Like, but why?
Yeah, it's like, but I sometimes hang around and you can't see me. It's like, it doesn't make any sense because they can see you now.
It's like, we've established that they're both like mediums and they can see ghosts. So like, what? Like they made no effort to explain that. And that might be just like a cut scene or something
maybe,
because it doesn't make any sense that would just go left unsaid, because they mentioned several times that, my mom's never seen my dad. That's the one ghost she's never seen.
What did you think about? I know we looked up his name before we started, but I've already forgot it.
Is that Freddie Jones?
His dad, who
well, I think they did
half by a shark. Is he like still alive, or did they just like, did he just not want to come back?
I don't know if he's still alive, and I don't want to get into it too much, but like, look at the guy's Wikipedia. He went to jail for some bad stuff.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so I
did not know that.
But like, his face was still featured pretty prominently.
Yeah, like they made
a
freaking like clay animation of it on the plate.
So like they really used him a lot when they just like kind of shoot away Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis. Like,
yeah, I didn't even show an image of them at all.
Because I guess like if they use their likeness in any way, they gotta pay them, right?
He must have had a deal or something to use his likeness.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but look that guy up. I'm not sure if he's alive or dead or whatever, but like, it's good reason he's not in the movie.
But the character was in the movie plenty.
He was in, I loved his death scene. How, he didn't die in the airplane crash. She wished he drowned. A shark just comes and bites his head off. It's so funny.
I also loved how, like, this is just why it's just like crazy cartoon logic of this movie. Like, he's missing the entire top half of his body, but it's because somehow still speak.
Yeah, because like there's just like a tube that's
fluttering out of a tube that's sticking out of his stomach. Is like, that's not how voices work. Just in case you were unclear about that. But no, that was pretty hilarious too. Him just bundling around with no top off of his body.
Yeah. So we talked about this a bit before we got into spoilers, but how did you like the MacArthur Park dance sequence for the wedding.
I thought it was pretty amazing. I was a bit worried at one point that it was going on a bit too long, but I think that kind of worked for it as well. I thought, and like they all did an amazing job of like being forced to sing and then like throwing weird looks of like this is weird, but
Yeah.
still doing it. I mean, that happened in the first movie too, right?
Yeah,
But,
with Deo, which
Yeah.
I think those are like the two best scenes of each movie. You know, like
yeah,
I think Deo's the best scene of the original Ghostbusters. Jesus Christ, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, they both got ghosts.
They both have ghosts in them.
Plus, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, I thought that was the best scene of the movie. Even though I don't totally think the conclusion to that scene worked very well, but
No, I know what you mean. And then, yeah, there's a lot of like lore around like I didn't really understand how things worked. It's like you need to say his name 3 times to make him appear, but then if you say it 3 times again, he disappears. But
Yeah, it
then
doesn't seem that
he
good.
also apparently can just like blow a hole in the wall and leave whenever he wants. So I'm a bit confused about what's going on there.
Yeah. I think there was more consistency with like his powers and like summoning him and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just
But-
like he's the only character that has that stipulation around it. Everybody else just kind of seemingly does whatever they want.
yeah. Yes, I don't know.
But it's not like
It's not like it's
it's not a deal breaker.
It doesn't need to be totally well thought out or anything. Yeah, I did like Willem Dafoe as the actor.
It was a bit like okay, I understand the gag, and they kept going to the well, but I think it just like he pulled it off so well, and it was so funny. Like, I love the little like actor gags they kept putting in, like when they had the cue cards for him when he's doing his big speech, and he keeps grabbing a cup of coffee, but he never drinks it.
He just like crushes it, and then the litter basket
his
is full of.
His sister just always passes him coffee, so he could just hold the coffee and throw it down directly.
Remember, keep it real.
Yeah, he was really good actually.
I don't think that Justin Theroux's character deserved to die necessarily.
Right.
Like,
it was kind of, and that was really anticlimactic. It was just like they both instantly get eaten by worms, which it seemed a bit like, really?
That part really sucked. Like, I think that's just like, and they were like building her up the entire time.
I mean. Like she's this unstoppable force, and it's like, oh, actually, no, she's gone. I feel like they really struggled to figure out how to write that ending, and they're just like, you know what, a worm meets him. That'll work.
Yeah,
I did really appreciate that they kept the design of those worms like really like lo-fi, a stop motion. Like they didn't like zhuzh it up. I was a bit worried they were going to do that when I saw them running around on like the Sans Moon or whatever it was in the trailer. I was like, oh, I hope they don't go in there and like make it all CG and lame. But no, it looked real good.
And what did you think about like the end dream sequence that they did?
So we didn't get into the baby Beetlejuice, which
the first time they did that, I thought was so funny.
It really was, and then they brought it back at the end.
Yeah, I don't like I love an dream sequence to end the movie. I think this one was kind of dumb.
Yeah, it was a bit like we don't know what to do now for the end of the movie, and the whole thing was just a bit weird.
Well, the first movie ends in such a great way. Like she's just like singing the calypso music and like it's just a great moment. And this one just sort of ends on a fart.
Yeah, it's a bit like they didn't know what to do for the ending, so they're like, "Oh, how about if we do like a dream sequence and then all this crazy shit happens?" And it's like
maybe there was a reshoot, like the baby Beetlejuice was testing really well with audiences. So like we gotta bring him back.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like we could bring back the baby Beetlejuice as well. That would be amazing. It's like I guess so. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but we'll do it.
Yeah. Baby Beetlejuice is going to be the #1 selling toy this Christmas. I'm making that call right now.
It's going to be a new Netflix series.
Baby Beetlejuice?
Yeah, it's like they did Boss Baby.
So what's episode 1 of Baby Beetlejuice? What do they do?
He's got to go off on his own adventures somehow, right? So because he can't have Michael Keaton in it. That's maybe the first episode. So he gets sent off to do some stuff on his own.
Goes to the orphanage. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Bites a kid at the orphanage. Episode 1.
That was so weird. He's just gnawing on her leg, and she's like not really reacting. Oh, it's so weird.
All right, so yeah, I think we're both pretty positive on the movie. Like, how positive are you at a 6.5?
Pretty positive. I mean, there's definitely things that didn't quite work for me, but I would say like a good 5.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What does that add to?
That's a good question. I can never figure it out. They always overshoot or go way too low because I can't figure
Yeah,
it
you
out.
know what? I think I'm about a 5.2. I thought it was great with some reservations.
Yeah, like it's not like
But
it's not like up there as one of Tim Burton's best ever movies.
yeah,
I don't know I don't know how I'd rate it with the first one.
I'd say
I definitely thought it was funnier than the first one.
I think it is funnier than the first one, but not as good of a movie.
Well, the first one it's hard with sequels, right? Because the first one like
Yeah.
it set the table and it set up this whole amazing world.
Yeah, I think I prefer Michael Keaton's performance in this one to the first one, even
I
though
definitely do, because I watched it quite recently, and he's just like detestable, and not in like a funny, weird way. It's just like, oh, I don't like. It.
yeah,
But in this one, it's like he is that, but at the same time, it's like
you can spend more time
it's
with
fun.
him.
It's
Yeah,
more fun for sure. Yeah, and I think the first one, I think because of the time as well, it's just like it was a little too sleazy. Like they dialed down the sleaze a bit in this one, but also managed to keep it to a level where it's still fun. I thought.
yeah. Well, he's not trying to marry a child in this one,
Yeah,
which helps a bit.
exactly. Yeah, stuff like that.
He did put a baby in her
Yeah.
and exploded it out of her, which is a pretty sleazy thing to do. I
Yeah,
think.
but that was just more of a gag.
Yeah,
He didn't hang out with any prostitutes in this one.
that's true. Yeah, well, he is busy with his business, I guess now. Okay. Well, I think we're winding down now.
Yeah,
We're at home.
We've made it home, so yeah, that was that went by as a clip. So
Yeah.
fun time. The ride went by quick. The movie went by quick.
As I said, we're going to TIFF next week.
Yes.
Definitely check out that episode. Let us know what you guys think of this one. We're on all the socials. Reach us at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, and review us, please.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't mention our our review that we got this week.
Oh, we'll save it. We'll save
that
it.
for next time. If you don't want to wait, take a look on Apple iTunes and read our reviews, and you'll be in for a treat. But yeah,
There you go.
while you're
Top
there,
of the morning to you.
While you're there, add one to it.
Okay. There we go. Anything else to say, Pete?
No, I think that's it for this week, guys. So until next week, that's the final word.